What's up, y'all? I wanted to do a fun little video today about how to make the first generation Pokemon sounds. So these really terrible sounding 8-bit, just the Pokemon sounds that the game makes. Before I get into it though, I do want to say I've been releasing a bunch more Dariacore stuff on my Rip Dance Club, alias or whatever. The description has the link to that if you want to check it out. I would appreciate it. And with that being said, let's get into how to make these sounds. So I have 3 different examples here. They sound like this. That's the simplest version. A little bit more complicated. And then the most complicated. And they're all pretty similar and pretty simple. So the first one is really dead simple though. Before we hop into the patch though, I just want to note that they all have like a a low pass filter on them. That like cuts most of the high end out. So what I would recommend is when you're doing your version of these sounds, have some sort of a low pass on there somewhere in the sound. It just helps them have a better lo-fi type or low fidelity type feel. So for this one, it is quite literally just a saw wave that I've added some noise to, a little LFO modulation on the volume. And then some, the noise is, the randomization's turned off on this oscillator, and then the noise also is set to run from the beginning, so it's also not random. And you can change the phase if you want to with that. And so the noise is just kind of like the, standard noise. You could even pitch it down if you wanted to. And then I run these two into as you can see, the A and the noise, into a sample and hold filter. Sounds like that, and then once you add a little LFO modulation, you get like that type of deal, which is not exactly the Pokemon sound, but if you mess around with this enough, you kind of get different little tones of what a Pokemon sound would sound like. Another thing you can do is add a pitch modulation to this. So for this, I'm going to do just a couple little things, and as you can see there, once we add the low pass filter, you kind of get the thing. And then if we added a bit crusher past this, it would probably even make it better. Kind of getting ourselves into that Pokemon range there. So moving forward, that's the simplest version. I would say just give yourself an oscillator. You don't even have to change the pitch. Just do a modulation onto a sample and hold filter, and I've turned the drive up on this too. So the second example I have here is a little bit more complex. And so this one is these 2 different waveforms. If I turn my bit crusher off, again, I'm using sample and hold here, and for this one, again, same type of deal. LFO2 is modulating the level on this, except in this case, I'm doing coarse pitch modulation here with this, kind of arbitrary set of bands, and then frequency modulation off of a square sub, and then this is pitched up 4 octaves, so without the FM, kind of weird sounding. Add the FM with the modulation, and then we add another FM thing. So if let me see, I have to bypass this. That is just my second oscillator, and it's pitched way down 4 octaves. So if I get rid of the FM from that, it would just be that sound. And that can be a good one to have too. But I'm also bypassing this as like a noise source to pass my sample and hold filter. So then I run this. That's with, is that doing anything? Yeah, that's the sound. And then run it through the sample and hold filter. Adds an interesting tone to it. And this is the negative sample and hold negative filter, which you can find in there. And then, again, add the bit crusher to the end of it. Kind of get that like Pokemon style tone. So then for the best example I would say here is just a sound that the only difference here was I spent a lot more time actually trying to get the modulations to sound cool. So I have a amplitude modulator that does 2 different little raises here, and then I have like this little, let me bypass this real quick. this like square modulated, rate modulated thing that's affecting the semitones. And then a separate modulation source that's the same, you know, this one's doing the amplitude of the noise, this one's doing the amplitude of the oscillator A. And then this here is modulating the coarse pitch. So if I turn this off and turn my filter off too, I have that sound. Turn the sample and hold on. If I make it way strong, it kind of gets way crunchier. Then bring back in my little square modulation here. And then, what was the other stuff that I had on here? Whoops. And yeah, I think that's all of it. Just kind of going with basic waveforms here. That one's a little sharper, I would say, and better. Add a low pass. Even brick wall it. Or if you don't want to do a low pass, you can use a bit crusher on full wetness. So let me add one of those. Kilohertz bit crusher. And as you bring it down, it'll start cutting the highs out. If I think you turn the quantization, no, not the bits either. There's one of these, yeah, that gets rid of that high squeaky signal that comes in. And I think it sounds best with the low pass filter. Do a brick wall for this. So again, you can get, you know, a ton of different tones out of doing this. And then also if I was to go in and like really try and get a spot on recreation of a couple of these, you can kind of pull down a spectrograph, and some of these are multi-sound. It's not just one sound source. It's like two different things. So this one sounds like noise on the bottom end with a really high pitched, you know, there's no frequencies down in here. So it's just, it goes low, high, and then it sounds like down a bit with some kind of sample and hold on the bottom sound. And then this one has a bend to it, but again here, it doesn't seem like a smooth bend. It seems like a bend where you're going between your tones. So like, not this, not that type of bend, but this type of bend. Right? Let's just turn on. I'm going to kind of play for a second here and see if I can get a cool result out of this. And you probably get some benefit out of like high passing one of these. So like using this as one layer. If you go in here, reduce your grid, hold shift and alt, you can kind of get these like more straight line type deals. Put that on here. And then just give yourself a little volume envelope. And then I'm going to turn these both onto envelope mode. So if I was to combine this with like another one of these, clone it, and push it down, get rid of this, get rid of the low, and cut the, you know. So then I could do two different sounds here to make one of these. Let's see. And then just kind of tune these in, maybe do some noise on this. And actually cut some of this and go higher. And try some noise. So I'm not quite getting the tone I want out of that there, but you know, if you experiment enough. And it sounds like maybe if I switched this here to a way higher pitch. That's a little too digital, but what if we add a low pass after it? It sounds like a rock type Pokemon. Okay, that's getting closer. Let me do, instead of that type of filtering, let me do an EQ. Ooh, that's actually kind of cool. And there's a lot too much highs on this, so. And then try some frequency modulation. So, you know, going in and adding like a filter sweep here. And then maybe dropping the volume on this some. So stuff like that. And then going in here, you know, there's just a bunch of different sounds you can get out of this. Right, this one sounds like it's doing a little arpeggiated sequence with maybe just one voice on that. So for one like this, I would try and find an oscillating thing. So let's go in here and try and get the initial signal and then move it. And I'm going to end it after this one because go get a weird, I'm going to actually use just a stranger oscillator here. Oh, and there's not really any information on this. Let me gain these separately. There we go. And then is there a way to filter sweep this? I don't think there is. So we want one long flat piece. So this, and then ending up. So let's try it with this sample and hold here. And then maybe even doing something that oscillates. So copy A to B. And then change the phase, turn the randomness off, give them a little bit of panning. And then maybe detune these a little bit. And I'm not loving that. And get a high pass filter in here, or I'm sorry, a low pass that's really sharp. Hit an EQ, cut the lows, and then maybe even move the band on this. That's kind of fun sounding. And then close it off with some compression. Just kind of gluing it together. So again, that's the fun thing about trying to make stuff like this is there's no wrong answers. You know, you have ones that are all the way from like sounding like an actual, I mean, none of them really sound like a Pokemon. One of the cool things that Pokemon did do with these though is that's 3 evolutions of the same Pokemon. So I think that's Bulbasaur, Venusaur, and you see how they have this little downwards thing on Venusaur, or Bulbasaur, what's the middle one? Ivysaur. And you can hear how Ivysaur and Venusaur have the same kind of ending, but just getting bigger. And I think that might be the squirt one, the Squirtosaurus or something, whatever it's called, the Squirtle. I think Squirtosaurus is a better word. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for this one, y'all. I will say my favorite of all time, I'm not going to be able to find it, is the spooky one. Oh! Is that it? That might be it. I think I got it first try. I'm just gonna assume that I did. It's the one that's it's one of the psychic types. It's hella spooky sounding. Thank you for watching. Hope you learned something. Hope it was fun, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm going to find it. Actually, no, I'm not ending this tutorial. I have to know, did I find the right one here? Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Is this the one? What did I watch? Is this the one? Yeah. That's the one. So spooky. I don't know what this is, like an elephant, scary fent. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you for watching again. See you in the next one.